Hello everyone, and welcome to this part of the course where we talk about synchronous versus asynchronous tools. My name is Jose Diaz, and my email address is Jose_Diaz, the number one, at fitnyc.edu. Please remember that this recording can be paused, you can rewind, you can speed up and slow down the recording if you wish. What is synchronous learning? Basically, synchronous learning refers to a learning event in which a group of students are engaging in learning at the same time. So just as the picture shows down here below, here we have a classroom full of students and a professor at the front of the room lecturing to the students. Now, for these students to be able to attend this class, they had to show up to a specific place at a specific date and time to be able to participate in this event. Now, asynchronous learning is a general term that is used to describe forms of education, instruction, and learning that do not occur in the same place or at the same time. So as technology evolves, we are now presented with new tools that allow us, teachers and educators, to do more of asynchronous learning. So for example, if we have a tool like Blackboard that allows us to create discussions, tests, and assignments that students can work at their own pace and at their own time. This is what asynchronous learning is about. Now, here is a list of synchronous tools that we support at FIT. So the first three, Collaborate Ultra, Google Meet, and WebEx, are web conferencing tools which allow your students and the instructor to meet in a session at a particular date and time. And so we support all three of these tools. In particular, Collaborate, because it is integrated into our Blackboard system. Now, the last two tools at the list below, Padlet and Kahoot, both fall under synchronous and asynchronous tools because a Padlet can be used in both situations as well as Kahoot. Now, what is Padlet? Padlet is very much similar to Pinterest, right? It's a virtual board that allows you and your students to curate work, whether it's audio, visual, images, text, whatever you can find, you can import these assets into a Padlet. And now, in the case of using Padlet as a synchronous tool, if you have a class session going on using Collaborate, you can share your screen, open up a Padlet, assign your students the first 10-15 minutes of the class to curate work into that Padlet, and you will see this Padlet get populated in real time as your students are posting their work synchronously. Kahoot is a game-based tool that allows you to quiz your students. Now, if you do it synchronously, you can direct them to the link of your Kahoot, and in real time, your students will compete either individually or as a group against each other. Now, Kahoot is a free tool, but you are allowed to purchase it if you want the full pro account. But Padlet we have purchased, so Padlet is covered by FIT, as well as the three other tools here mentioned, Collaborate, Google, WebEx, and Padlet, are all covered by FIT. Kahoot is not paid by FIT, but you can use the free version, which works fine. Now, here is a list of asynchronous tools, and asynchronous tools will allow you to have your students assign these activities to your students so that they can do them at their own self pace. For example, the first one is VoiceThread, and VoiceThread was purchased by FIT, so that is covered with the Pro account. And VoiceThread will allow you to record your audio narration over your presentation slides, so that your students can watch your presentation slides asynchronously at their own pace. You can also create discussions using VoiceThread, so that your students can asynchronously participate in these discussions at their own pace. And here we go again with Padlet. Again, so Padlet can be used asynchronously if you assign an activity in your Blackboard course, and if you insert that Padlet in your Blackboard course, your students can work on those Padlets individually or collaboratively in an asynchronous manner. Now, the next tool here is Screencast-O-Matic. And what Screencast-O-Matic does is it allows you to record and create videos. You can create a talking head video, which is basically from the top of your head to your shoulders. You can also create a video that records your screen and your voice, and so that you don't have to be on the webcam. You won't be recorded. The only thing that would be recorded, it will be the screen and your voice. So Screencast-O-Matic is an asynchronous tool because the students will watch those videos at their own pace. So once you are done recording your videos in Screencast-O-Matic, it will allow you to upload those videos to your YouTube channel. They will get captioned by YouTube auto-generated captions. And if you like, you can go in there and also correct those captions to your liking. Blackboard is also considered an asynchronous tool because as you add these elements into your course content, the students will go into Blackboard at their own pace and do these discussions, do the quizzes and the tests and the assignments at their own pace. Now, you might require them to do certain things with a deadline. But that still is not synchronous, because remember, synchronous has to be the full class in the same place at the same time and the same date. So you're not going to have your whole class going into the discussion at the same time, or the quizzes might not be all at the same time. They might do it, one might do it early, one might do it in the afternoon. And this is why asynchronous teaching works best for students who are working parents. They have a job, they have kids. And so what this allows them to, it gives them much more flexibility in their schedule to do these assignments or activities. Another tool that is supported by FIT is Adobe Spark. And this is part of the Adobe suite that is covered by the school. And Adobe Spark allows you to also create videos. Very, very easy to do. There is no steep learning curve when it comes to Adobe Spark. It also allows you to create web pages, and do not require any coding. The third thing that Adobe Spark allows you to do is to create graphics. Again, all these three elements have no steep learning curve. So this is Adobe way of having their form of Photoshop and Dreamweaver and Premiere, all at a basic level for the basic level user. So Adobe, if you log in through your FIT account, you do have access to Adobe Spark. Now, the last tool is Kahoot. And remember, we mentioned Kahoot in the Synchronous list. So if you use Kahoot and you put the link to that Kahoot in your Blackboard page in your course, now the students can join. If you tell them to click on that link, now they're joining asynchronous, which means that you don't need to have all your students join this Kahoot at the same time. And so as they are competing in this Kahoot game, their score will be recorded, and then the Kahoot will have the points listed as to who got the highest point, who got the best score. So it's a game-based activity for your students. It's a lot of fun. I recommend you trying it out. Give Kahoot a try. Again, this tool is not paid by FIT, but using the free version is sufficient. It will allow you to create as many games as you want. Now, how do we create a mix of synchronous and asynchronous tools that will make a successful course? So now the beauty of using asynchronous and synchronous tools and creating a toolkit based on a combination of synchronous and asynchronous activities, you might want to start the class with a collaborate session, and you can lecture for whatever that time is, 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and then you can send them off to do asynchronous activities from the tools that I mentioned earlier. And so now what you're doing is you're creating a mix of the two, right? So now like I said, if we do a live session and then break out into discussion groups, and this is all happening synchronously, your students can participate in your discussion synchronously and ask you questions. Now, once you are done lecturing and creating a discussion, now you can say, okay, well, class, we are done with the lecture today. Go into your Blackboard course, and I have a list of activities for you to do at your own pace. So those can be a discussion. Those activities can be a quiz, a formative quiz that covers what you discussed in your lecture. It could be a combination of things. It could be a Padlet that you say to them, okay, now that you understood the lecture for today, go and curate some images, bring it into that Padlet, and populate that Padlet before we meet again at the next live class session. So this is how we now are mixing the two. We're mixing synchronous teaching and asynchronous teaching, and we're bringing in these tools to create an environment so that you're not lecturing for 2 or 3 or 4 hours straight. And this is the beauty of this, because now you're creating your own epic toolkit from a combination of synchronous and asynchronous tools. And so, and what I love about this is that you're allowing your students to, be a part of the teaching process. If you lecture on for those 2 or 3 hours straight, it's hard to get the student involved, because most of the time it's just you lecturing to your class. And now if you introduce asynchronous components to your class using these tools that I've mentioned, you can now allow them to go at their own pace, whether it's individual work or collaborative work, and increase interactivity amongst your students, increase the social learning aspect of by using asynchronous tools. And what you can also do is, if you decide to record these lectures, have them watch the lectures before meeting in one of these collaborate sessions, more of a flip classroom type approach. Your students now can participate in these live sessions, and it's more discussion based. So you're no longer lecturing to them because you assign them the videos for them to watch. And so when you meet in this synchronous environment, whether it's Collaborate or on a Google Meet, now you can talk about the lecture. You can ask them questions. You can ask them what are some of the what we call muddiest points. So what that means is, what did you miss? What didn't you understand about chapter one? What was confusing to you? Uh, uh, and so this creates an opportunity for your students to then speak up and say, "Well, I didn't understand this part in your lecture, but I love this part." And one last thing I want to say about synchronous and asynchronous is teaching is that when you are doing synchronous teaching and you have these collaborate sessions in real time, you can also use tools like polling, and that will help you to gauge your students, to collect or to assess pre-existing mindsets or pre-existing ideas that they have before you go into your lectures. So that would be another way to also make the class much more interactive. And you can do this using Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. There is a polling feature there for you to poll your students. So keep your mind open. Think of many different ways how you can create this mix of synchronous and asynchronous tools in for your classroom. Now remember that you have to start at the time that class is assigned, but you don't have to end at the specific time assigned to the class. If you are mixing asynchronous and synchronous to your course, if you start with a lecture session on Collaborate, you can end after those 30 or 45 minutes of lecturing and then go into asynchronous activities. I hope this video helped, and if you have any questions, please feel free to send them to me at Jose_Diaz1 at fitnyc.edu. Thanks and good luck.